Have you ever felt just a deep, almost whispered yearning within you?
Mm.
A sense that there's an instinctual, maybe untamed, creative soul kind of lying just beneath the
Yeah,
surface?
like it's trying to break through the everyday stuff the modern life demands.
Exactly, that feeling of knowing there's just more. More
Mhm.
to who you are than what you've maybe been told or learned to be.
Right.
So this deep dive, it's really an invitation to embark on a journey, exploring different paths for reclaiming that fierce, intuitive, really life-giving inner nature.
And we're looking at some fascinating sources today.
We really are. We're drawing insights from a truly rich stack, ancient spiritual texts, timeless stories, modern philosophical reflections too.
A real mix.
Yeah, and our mission really is to uncover what it truly means to know yourself and to live authentically from your core.
And what's so interesting here, if we sort of connect the dots, is that this quest, this search for authenticity, it's not new at all.
Not at all.
It echoes, right down through centuries, across so many diverse wisdom traditions, East, West, monasteries, nature retreats.
It's everywhere.
It really is. And that persistence, it suggests something fundamental, doesn't it?
Yes.
A basic human need, maybe a universal longing, to get beyond the surface level existence.
Beyond the roles we play.
Exactly. To rediscover who we actually are at our most essential level. It's almost like, like humanity's always been grappling with the same deep question. Maybe we've just forgotten how to listen for the answer.
I think that's spot on. And our mission today, specifically, is to distill some practical wisdom for you, for our listener.
Mm.
Ideas on how you can embark on this deeply personal, often transformative journey.
It's about recognizing, understanding, and then
Yeah.
gently, sometimes maybe not so gently, shedding those layers.
Those layers of conditioning that hide your true self, whatever they might be for you. So yeah, let's unpack this together. Let's start this exploration right into the heart of authentic living. Unveiling the authentic self, shedding the veils of conditioning. Okay, so to really reclaim our essential nature, where do we even begin? I think we have to start by questioning the very foundations of our reality, right? Especially how we decide what's true.
Mm-hmm. It sounds a bit abstract, maybe, but it's incredibly practical when you think about personal freedom.
How so?
Well, so much of what we accept as truth day to day, even about ourselves, it's built on, societal agreements, learned symbols.
Don Miguel Ruiz talks about this, doesn't he, in The Fifth Agreement?
He does, very powerfully.
Yeah.
He explains that a lot of what we know, it isn't some inherent truth we discovered. It's more like a language we mastered, a set of symbols.
And we accept them as truth only because we agree on the meaning.
Exactly. Think about the word tree. It means something to us. We can talk about trees because we've all agreed on what that sound, that symbol represents.
But the word isn't the actual tree.
Precisely. It's just a representation. If you were born somewhere else, a different sound, a different symbol would do the same job. The meaning isn't in the symbol itself.
It's in the agreement.
It's in our shared agreement. And this applies to almost every word, every concept, every label we use.
Wow. So, okay, if our whole external reality, how we talk, how we interpret things, is built on these agreed-upon symbols,
Mm-hmm.
then what does that mean for our inner world? That's the unsettling part, isn't it? How much of ourself, our identity, our beliefs about what we can or can't do, our limits, even our desires?
How much of that is also constructed? Not from some inner truth, but from these external agreements, these cultural programs we absorb.
Yeah, it really shakes the foundation of how we see ourselves.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really relevant for you listening right now. It's an invitation to think, really think about your own deeply held beliefs, about yourself, about the world.
Are they truly yours?
Exactly. Did they come from your direct, unfiltered experience, your inner knowing, or are they inherited, programmed in by family, culture, school, society?
It's often subtle.
Very subtle. But that initial skepticism, that willingness to just question where your truths came from, that's not just important. It's like the first real step toward freedom.
And challenging those inherited truths, it leads right into this idea of the power of doubt, even maybe a kind of personal rebellion for freedom.
Yes. Ruiz goes even further. He suggests we actively should not believe everything we've learned.
Especially not from ourselves, that inner voice.
Especially not from ourselves, that constant inner monologue. He says pretty bluntly, most of what you learned is not the truth.
Wow.
And embracing that skepticism, even about our own thoughts, he calls it a huge advantage.
An advantage how?
Because it gives us the courage, the permission, really, to challenge our entire reality.
Which is?
Which is, as he says, nothing but symbols anyway.
So it's like questioning the whole operating system.
Precisely. And this is a crucial step towards getting back to authenticity, what Ruiz calls the integrity of the self, or the totality of what we are.
It's a rebellion, then.
It's a profound act of rebellion, yeah, against that mental control that often makes us think, feel, even do things that don't really align with who we are deep down.
He talks about the dream of the second attention, right?
Mm-hmm. Our normal reality is the first attention, the consensus dream we all agree on. The second attention is when you start to doubt it, to question the beliefs holding that dream together.
So it's like waking up within the dream.
Kind of. It's a huge shift in awareness. You start seeing how fabricated your beliefs are. And that kicks off what he calls an endless war.
Not against people, though.
No, an internal war against the structures inside you that keep you limited, a war to change the reality you don't like, specifically to get your freedom back.
Recognizing that the reality you don't like is often something you constructed, or at least agreed to.
Exactly. And that means you can choose to take it apart.
That image of an internal war against our own conditioning is intense. It's not about external fights, but this courageous inner work, dismantling untruths.
Right. It's not about just causing chaos or rejecting everything. It's about honest, really rigorous self-inquiry.
So for you listening, maybe consider, what beliefs are you ready to put on the stand? Ready to question right now to reclaim that true, unburdened self?
Is it that belief you're not good enough, not creative, not worthy?
What inherited assumptions about your potential, your value, your desires are you willing to really look at, maybe doubt a little?
It can be uncomfortable, for sure, but that's where the real self-discovery starts.
Okay, now let's talk about something maybe even trickier that holds us back. These deeply ingrained internal mechanisms, the ones that stop us from feeling joy and freedom.
The invisible shackles.
Yeah.
Self-imposed limits. We all have them.
And Don Miguel Ruiz, this time in the Four Agreements, he gives them names, doesn't he? The Judge in the Mind and the Book of Law.
Yes, and he's very clear. This internal belief system, this book of law, it's fundamentally wrong. Often based, he says, on lies. Deeply embedded lies we tell ourselves.
The Judge. What does it do?
Oh, the judge is honestly a major source of our suffering. It's that non-stop mental voice, constantly making us blame ourselves, punish ourselves, feel guilty for things in the past.
And it doesn't stop there, does it?
No. It often makes us, and others around us, pay for the same mistakes over and over again.
He gives that example, right, about making family members pay again every time we remember a mistake.
Exactly. Every time we remember the mistake, we blame them again and send them all the emotional poison we feel, and then we make them pay again. It's this cycle.
Of mental self-punishment and projecting blame.
Yes. And it's a massive obstacle to reconnecting with that vibrant, life-giving inner nature. Keeps us trapped in guilt, resentment, feeling unworthy. It stops real healing.
It's a powerful realization, isn't it, that so much of our pain is self-inflicted by this internal judge.
It really is.
So the implication for you, listening, is to just notice. Notice how often you find yourself, or maybe people around you, just replaying old stuff, old grievances, failures, self-judgments. This judge, it's not just annoying. It actively blocks inner peace. It stops you living authentically.
And if Ruiz is right, if like 95% of our beliefs are lies causing suffering,
then this inner work, dismantling the judge and its rigid rules, isn't just nice to have, it's essential.
it's absolutely vital for reclaiming your true self. Imagine the energy we waste in that internal courtroom.
So much energy.
Precisely. And the goal here, what Ruiz calls the mastery of love, which is really about self-acceptance, unconditional self-love, is to heal those deep emotional wounds.
That mastery lets us...
What?
It lets us recover the joy and freedom that are our birthright and restore the spirit of playfulness that is vital to loving relationships.
Playfulness. We lose that, don't we? We often do, under the weight of judgment. So it's about releasing that crushing burden of constantly judging ourselves and others. Think about the lightness, the relief of dropping those heavy chains.
It's like rediscovering that innocent, curious, joyful part of yourself that got buried under fear and self-criticism.
Exactly. It was always there.
So, okay. Once we start this process, this stripping away of conditioning, silencing the inner critic, questioning inherited truths, what does the actual journey of self-discovery look like?
Right. How do we move from theory and skepticism to actually experiencing and embodying truth? 2, the odyssey of self-discovery, experiencing and embodying truth.
Okay, for this next step, let's look at a really classic story that shows this pursuit of truth through lived experience, not just dogma, the journey of Siddhartha.
Ah, yes. Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha illustrates this beautifully.
You have his friend Govinda, right? He finds refuge in the Buddha's teachings, follows that path.
Yes, a clear prescribed path, which works for him. But Siddhartha, while respecting the Buddha immensely, he chooses something different.
A more solitary path.
A more solitary path. He wants to, as he says, get a taste of everything for oneself, which one needs to know.
Not just hear about it, but taste it, feel it.
Exactly. It's not a rejection of wisdom, but this deep insistence on internalizing it. He reflects later, doesn't he, on understanding that lust for the world and riches do not belong to the good things.
And how did he learn that?
Not just by memorizing a rule. He learned it not just in memory, but in my eyes, in my heart, in my stomach. He lived the emptiness of those pursuits. The truth had to penetrate his whole being.
That highlights such a critical difference, doesn't it, between knowing something in your head
Intellectual understanding, yeah.
and embodied knowledge, knowing it in your bones, in your gut.
Yes. It's not enough to just agree with the truth mentally. It has to permeate beyond the rational mind, into your senses, your emotions.
Like when Siddhartha decides to learn about love from Kamala. He just knows it's the next step.
Exactly. He knows it from the first glance. It's intuitive, embodied knowing. He didn't reason it out. He felt it in his core. An undeniable resonance guiding him. That's truth becoming part of you.
And the outcome of that kind of journey, that embodied experience, it's huge. It leads to what he calls the death of the small, frightened self.
After all his seeking, rising, falling, he hits this point of despair by the river.
And that's when it happens.
That's when he realizes something else from within him had died, something which already for a long time had yearned to die. He asks himself, was it not his self, his small, frightened and proud self, which today had finally come to its death?
It's not physical death, obviously.
No, it's a spiritual death, a shedding of the ego, the conditioned identity, the need for approval, the fear of not being enough.
Such a powerful image, the spiritual rebirth from the death of the old self.
And this death, this letting go, it leads to him being like a child so full of trust, so without fear, so full of joy.
It connects right back to shedding the ego to find that untamed, joyful nature, our birthright.
It's liberation, a release from that constant self-monitoring, the striving that defines the small, frightened self. It's returning to openness, authenticity.
So this gets really interesting for you, listening. What parts of your small, frightened, and proud self might be maybe secretly yearning to die?
Is it that fear of judgment stopping you from trying something new? Or speaking up?
Is it the need for external validation that keeps you in a job or relationship that doesn't feel right?
What insecurities, what need for approval are you clinging to? The ones that stop you from feeling that radical trust, that fearlessness, that joy Siddhartha found.
It's a deep question for introspection, identifying what's ready to be released.
Definitely.
Okay, staying with this theme of discovery through direct experience, let's shift from Siddhartha's internal journey to something more external, but just as deep, connecting with the natural world, finding wisdom there.
Ah, Thoreau at Walden Pond. Classic example.
His choice to live in the woods, it was very intentional, wasn't it?
Deeply intentional. A deliberate stepping away from complexity. His goal wasn't just escape, it was to live deliberately, to face life's essential facts, see what they could teach him.
He wanted to have leisure and opportunity to see the spring come in. Just observe.
Observe meticulously.
Yeah.
The tiny details, the patterns of melting ice, the way a squirrel moved.
It wasn't just appreciating scenery.
No, it was engaging with nature as a teacher, recognizing wisdom in its rhythms, its untamed purity.
He describes that squirrel, right, with its ludicrous expression and a gratuitous somerset.
Yes. Seeing playful, instinctual wisdom in those small movements, contrasting it with human overthinking.
Tuning into the directness, the unadorned truth of life outside our constructs.
And even in practical things like building his chimney, he found lessons.
From the steel in his tools or sayings about mortar.
Exactly. He wasn't just building, he was engaging with the elements, drawing meaning from the everyday, the raw materials, getting back to the immediate, unmediated experience.
And this simplicity, this connection to the elemental, it often reveals a kind of truth that society obscures.
He noticed that, didn't he? He observed some half-witted men from the almshouse and felt they were, in some ways, wiser than the so-called overseers of the poor.
Wiser how?
He found one man, described as deficient in intellect, to be a metaphysical puzzle because he was so simple and sincere and so true.
So profound truth might be found outside conventional smarts or status.
That's the implication. It resides in an unadorned essential self, unburdened by complexity, by artifice, not about degrees or job titles, but about raw honesty, a directness of being.
It's a great reminder that wisdom isn't always where we're told to look. It can be in nature's directness or the simple truth of someone living without pretense. So as we engage with these outer experiences, observing, learning with an open mind, we inevitably turn back inward. We hit that inner landscape. Thoughts, emotions, deeper stuff playing out. How do we navigate that terrain? It can be pretty turbulent. 3, navigating the inner landscape. Ego, fear, and the voice of the soul. Okay, turning inward now. Let's tackle one of the biggest players in our inner conflicts, the thing that creates separation. The ego. How does it distort reality, generate fear, and keep us from our essential nature?
Right. And A Course in Miracles offers a really insightful, sometimes challenging view on this.
How does it describe the ego?
It calls the ego state inherently off-balanced. And this comes from its basic lack of discrimination between the body and the thoughts of God.
Thoughts of God meaning what? Unity, love, our true nature.
Exactly. Things that represent unity, love, our divine connection. The ego, being a construct of separation, sees these thoughts as unacceptable. Why? Because they clearly point to the non-existence of the ego itself.
So the ego feels threatened by our true nature.
Fundamentally threatened. To maintain its illusion of being separate, the ego either twists these divine thoughts or just refuses to see them. It sees them as threats to its self-preservation.
It's constantly defending itself.
Constantly. Trying to hide both, say, unacceptable body impulses and the truth of God's thoughts. It sees both as equally dangerous to its fabricated identity.
Which explains why we often resist our deepest, most authentic impulses.
Because they threaten the ego's construction project, the identity it's built and fiercely protects.
It sounds like it's perpetually trying to survive, maintain its illusion, fearing anything that might dismantle its facade.
And this deep fear, this need to defend, is what leads to so much suffering.
A Course in Miracles makes that radical claim, doesn't it? There is no hell. Hell is only what the ego has made of the present.
It's a powerful statement. The belief in hell, it says, is what prevents you from understanding the present because you are afraid of it.
And the ego uses time, past regrets, future worries.
Yes, to compound guilt, creating this cycle of fear and blame that keeps us stuck in a self-made hell. It's not external punishment. It's an internal mechanism.
Wow, that's a huge shift in perspective.
It completely flips the script on suffering. It's not imposed from outside. It's an internal creation, rooted in fear and the ego's desperate attempts to control and interpret everything through its distorted lens.
So escaping this self-made hell means...
It means consciously letting go of the past regrets and future anxieties the ego projects onto the present moment. The Course contrasts the ego with the Holy Spirit, which knows only the present and uses it to undo the fear. It's about reclaiming the now from the ego's grip.
So for you listening, the question becomes, what fears, what resistances keep you from fully being in the present, from hearing your authentic inner voice?
Are you caught in that ego trap of guilt, blame, fear, constantly replaying old stories or worrying about the future?
Or can you, maybe just for this moment, allow yourself to be present, open to a reality free from the ego's heavy interpretations?
It's a choice, moment by moment, and it makes a huge difference to your experience of freedom.
Okay, so if the ego thrives on distortion and fear, creating its own hell, what about the soul? What's its language? How does our deepest self communicate?
Right. How do we tune into that voice for real empowerment?
Yeah.
Neil Donald Walsh's Conversations with God offers some really clear insights here.
What's the core idea?
Well, Walsh presents this idea through his dialogue that God created relativity, the greatest gift God ever gave to itself, and relationship is the greatest gift God ever gave to you.
Relativity, like duality.
Opposites.
Exactly. For the experience of absolute love to exist and be truly known, its exact opposite had to exist as well. What is now called fear.
So fear isn't just bad. It has a purpose.
In this view, yes. It serves a crucial function in the bigger picture. It's not just negative, it's the necessary counterpart that allows love to be recognized, chosen, experienced consciously.
So the path to reconnecting with love involves understanding this duality.
And it lies in listening to the soul, which inherently gets this, transcends the duality. And how do we listen? Walsh is very direct about this, isn't he?
Extremely direct. He says, the soul speaks to you in feelings. Listen to your feelings. Follow your feelings. Honor your feelings. Your feelings are your truth.
Wow, feelings are truth. That's radical compared to how we usually treat them.
It really is. He contrasts it sharply with the mind's cautious, analytical, often made-up thoughts, the stories we tell ourselves. True celebration, he says, is often mindless, flowing spontaneously, beyond intellect.
So it's a shift from head to heart, from analysis to intuition.
Exactly. It emphasizes that feelings aren't inherently bad or destructive things to be suppressed. In their pure form, they're simply truths, trying to tell us something vital.
But what about negative feelings? Anger, sadness.
The key distinction Walsh makes is how you express that truth. When your truth is expressed with love, negative or damaging results rarely happen.
This idea of trusting feelings, intuition over just logic, it pops up elsewhere too, right?
Oh, yeah. Think of the Celestine prophecy. A character follows a clear thought and intuition, takes a risk, and gets through danger.
Or Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance.
Right. The narrator trusts a feeling to slow down, proves correct, avoids trouble, even though his son's logic protested. Moments where deeper knowing overrides surface analysis.
So honoring feelings isn't about being irrational, it's about accessing a deeper, more direct wisdom.
A more truthful wisdom, yes. And this inner listening connects directly to authentic empowerment, to the power of our intentions.
Gary Zukav talks about this in The Seat of the Soul, right?
Yeah.
Authentic empowerment.
Yes, and he defines it not as external power over others, but as the alignment of the personality with the soul.
How do we achieve that alignment?
By consciously choosing intentions that come from love instead of intentions that come from fear. And this choice, Zukav says, creates joyful karma instead of painful karma.
So our intentions actually shape our reality, our
Yeah.
experiences.
This view says absolutely. It moves beyond just listening passively to actively creating. Our deepest intentions rooted in love or fear aren't just internal states. They're forces shaping our reality, our karma.
Zukav says, you create heaven on earth when you choose to respond with intentions of love instead of intentions of fear.
It's about taking radical responsibility for the energy behind our choices. Recognizing every intention sends ripples out, inviting harmony or discord. And it's the soul that aligns with loving intentions.
That is incredibly empowering, almost revolutionary. So for you listening, how can you start to tell the difference between the mind's cautious, often fear-based voice and the soul's truthful, love-based whispers?
What would it feel like, look like, to really honor those deeper feelings, to align your actions with that core wisdom?
Maybe just pausing sometimes, asking, what does my heart really want here beyond the fear?
That's a great starting point.
Okay, following this idea of the soul's language and intention, let's look at a practical way to deal with the mind's constant chatter. The path of awareness, non-attachment.
Yes, Michael Singer in The Untethered Soul describes this so vividly.
He uses that movie analogy, right?
Yeah, it's brilliant. You get lost in a movie, your senses, thoughts, emotions are all synchronized with the screen. You're completely consumed. No, you left watching.
And our inner world can do the same thing.
Exactly. The stream of thoughts, emotions, dramas, it can take us over completely. We get completely lost in our own internal narrative, fused with it. Can't tell ourselves apart from the stream.
So what's the solution he offers? It sounds simple, but hard.
Deceptively simple, profoundly challenging, to consciously relax and release, to fall back behind it, behind the thoughts, the emotion.
And crucially,
Not touch it, do not get involved in it, and do not try to stop it. Simply be aware that you are seeing it.
creating space, distance, becoming the observer.
Yes, the witness of your mental emotional weather, rather than being swept away by it, identifying with it, or fighting it, cultivating that inner sanctuary, that stillness.
In this practice, this non-attachment, witnessing, it connects to living fully, without compromise.
Directly. Singer asks us to imagine truly awakened people asked how they'd lived their last week.
In their answer.
Not a thing would change inside of them. Not a thought would cross their minds. They wouldn't suddenly rush to do things. Why? Because they have not a single thing they carry inside of their hearts that they would rather be doing.
Meaning they're already living fully.
Already living their lives fully and are not making compromises to their deepest truth, their calling. They're present, engaged, at peace with the flow. It's profound inner freedom. External stuff doesn't dictate their inner state.
That is powerful. That ultimate freedom is right here now, exactly as things are. So for you listening, what would change in your life right now if you adopted that level of awareness?
If you stepped back, became the observer, and lived each day without compromising your deepest desires, your inner truth.
What would it mean to just fully be present without all the internal noise?
But this inner work, this path isn't always smooth sailing, is it? Sometimes it required something deeper, more intense, a transformation that can feel painful.
Yeah, what many traditions call a dark night. 4. The transformative fire. Deep spiritual purgation and illumination. Okay, as we go deeper, we arrive at maybe the most intense part of this journey, often challenging but ultimately incredibly liberating. Deep spiritual purgation.
Where many traditions talk about these intense trials, often called the dark night, an absolutely necessary path to deeper connection.
With the divine, with your true self. And St. John of the Cross describes this, well, sometimes terrifyingly, in Dark Night of the Soul.
He calls it a dark night of loving fire, which is a paradox, right?
Right.
Fire, but fueled by divine love.
What happens during this time?
He says the divine assails the soul in order to renew it and thus to make it divine. It involves a painful stripping of the habitual affections and attachments of the old man.
All the old ego patterns, comforts, false identities we cling to.
Exactly. And the soul going through this feels like it's perishing and melting away, experiencing a cruel spiritual death, like being swallowed by a beast.
He compares it to Jonah in the whale.
Yes, a sepulcher of dark death, where you hope against hope for spiritual resurrection. It's painful, but necessary. Letting go of everything that's not truly you. A profound emptying of self-will, false attachments.
Like a divine surgery, cutting away what no longer serves.
Precisely.
It sounds incredibly intense, a stripping away of everything familiar. But he says within this darkness, there's illumination. How does that work?
It's the paradox. The divine ray of contemplation, pure light, actually darkens the soul's usual ways of seeing, deprives it of all natural affections and apprehensions, leaves it feeling not only dark, but likewise empty.
Empty and in darkness.
But by thus leaving it empty and in darkness, it purges and illumines it with divine spiritual light. Even if the soul itself thinks not that it has this light, but believes itself to be in darkness.
So the purification itself prepares the soul for a higher light.
Exactly. It's a critical counterintuitive point.
Yeah.
St. John uses that analogy of a light ray in a dark room.
You don't see the ray itself.
Until something enters its path, an imperfection, or even a perfection. Then the light becomes visible, revealing what was unseen.
So in the dark night, the soul, even feeling lost, gains clarity when it encounters truth, or even its own imperfections.
Yes. The absence of old comforts reveals the subtle presence of a new divine light. And here's a really remarkable, maybe comforting insight for anyone going through this. The greater is the darkness wherein the soul journeys, the greater is its security.
Wow, greater darkness means greater security.
It suggests profound growth, big breakthroughs, often happening confusion, desolation, struggle. Even when you don't feel enlightened or strong, just enduring without ego attachment deepens your security in something beyond the ego.
That's a powerful thought. Security found in darkness, a testament to that transformative fire, a necessary death before rebirth.
Reminds us growth often comes from the crucible, not comfort.
Okay, building on that purgation idea, let's broaden it to this concept of denying the separative self. Through non-attachment, surrender.
Aldous Huxley explores this brilliantly in The Perennial Philosophy, his synthesis of mystical traditions.
He talks about mortification, but not in the way we usually think of it.
Right, not literal self-punishment. He defines it spiritually as the total denial of the separative self and the abandonment of the will to God.
The goal isn't suffering.
No, the goal is cultivating non-attachment or holy indifference. Not becoming unfeeling, but stopping the ego's self-will from just finding a new outlet.
Even a virtuous-seeming outlet, like strict discipline.
Even that. Stoic austerity, rigorous self-control, they can still be ego traps if rooted in I did this, I achieved this. True holiness, Huxley argues, comes from radically letting go of I, me, mine.
Transcending the ego's desires, even the good ones.
Because without that letting go, even virtue becomes another form of pride.
So even striving for self-improvement can be an ego trap if it's not rooted in letting go of that separate self.
Exactly. It brings to mind that story of the rich young man of the Gospels. He couldn't let go of possessions, not because they were evil, but because his attachment represented the ego clinging on.
And this connects to practical paths, like the Buddhist Eightfold Path.
Huxley references it, yes. It offers specific steps. Right will, the desire to free oneself and others, right effort towards self-control, right attention or recollectedness.
Being present.
Bringing conscious awareness to the now, yes. And right contemplation, the unitive knowledge, the direct knowing of the ground of being, which ethical self-nodding and recollectedness give access to.
These ancient practices offer concrete steps then.
Time-tested steps to cultivate an inner state free from self-centeredness, ego-grasping. It's a path requiring conscious effort, moving beyond just ideas or outward morality towards radical inner change.
Leading to more compassion, intuition, liberation.
Yes. The Buddha, as Huxley points out, focused intensely on sorrow and the ending of sorrow, providing a method for individuals to systematically free themselves, diminish suffering. The emphasis is squarely on personal effort, diligence in working out your own salvation, freedom from craving, from the obsession with I, me, mine.
Actively disidentifying from the ego.
It's a compelling call to self-responsibility, isn't it? To actively work on these inner states, cultivate non-attachment, not just wait for epiphanies.
Which brings us really to the ultimate state of liberation, what contemporary teachers talk about so clearly, the power of presence, of being consciousness. So to bring this incredible journey together, let's look at a really accessible yet profoundly deep, modern take on spiritual awareness, focusing on the power of presence, being consciousness, from Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now.
Tolle really emphasizes the absolute need to constantly monitor your mental emotional state through self-observation.
How do you do that?
He suggests asking simple, powerful questions throughout your day. Am I at ease at this moment? Or what's going on inside me right now?
Shifting the focus inward.
Yes. Be at least as interested in what goes on inside you as what happens outside. He asserts, primary reality is within, secondary reality without, challenging our usual outward focus.
And he talks about the nature of reality itself, doesn't he? Matter being an illusion.
He does. The apparent solidity of matter is an illusion. Even inside atoms, it's mostly empty space, more like a vibrational frequency.
And this isn't just physics, it's a spiritual insight.
It dismantles our ingrained perception of a fixed, separate world. It suggests our common experience of separation and solidity is largely a mental construct, a perception.
Our true essence, our being, is the real reality. Fluid, connected presence.
That's the idea. And understanding this fundamentally changes how we experience suffering.
Tolle's famous statement, suffering is due to identification with form.
It's monumental. Pain doesn't come from the forms themselves, bodies, roles, possessions, thoughts, stories, but from our attachment and identification with them, seeing them as who we are.
And realizing this illusion leads to true compassion.
Exactly. Compassion for Tolle isn't just sympathy. It's the awareness of a deep bond between yourself and all creatures, looking beyond the form and feel the other person's radiant and pure being through your own.
He has that sobering realization about mortality, too.
Yes, that we all share vulnerability, mortality. We all end up as rotting corpses, then piles of dust, then nothing at all, physically stark, but it creates total equality.
How does that foster compassion?
It dismantles pride, breaks down superficial differences. It fosters a deep sense of shared humanity, shared impermanence, interconnectedness. We find our common ground in our shared vulnerability.
So if suffering is an illusion from identifying with temporary forms, how do we break free?
Tolle points to the ultimate liberation. Full acceptance, surrender to the present moment. Full attention is full acceptance, is surrender.
How does that work?
By giving your full attention to the now, you use the power of the now to dissolve resistance. No hidden pocket of resistance can survive in it. Presence removes time. Without time, no suffering, no negativity can survive.
So what dies?
Only the ego dies. It's not an intellectual game. It's a full embodied embrace of what is.
This sounds like the ultimate liberation, reclaiming that untamed spirit.
It is. Embracing suffering consciously, meeting it with presence, is entering a kind of death, the ego's death, the conditioned self-death. And in that, you realize there is no death and there is nothing to fear.
It's the ego that fears this death.
Because it's the death of its control, its separation, its identity. Through this surrender, you become truly free, unbound by ego, by fear, living fully, radiantly, in the now, the reawakening of your essential nature.
Wow. What an incredible journey we've covered. So many diverse, deep paths to reconnecting with that essential, fierce, intuitive nature.
From dismantling false beliefs with skepticism.
Engaging in direct, embodied experience like Siddhartha.
Navigating the ego's tricky traps.
And finally, embracing this profound transformation through presence and surrender.
And if you connect it all, look at the bigger picture. It's so clear. These teachings, different origins, languages, cultures, they all point to one profound, universal truth.
Which is?
That the journey inward is, without doubt, the ultimate adventure. It leads not to external stuff, fleeting success, but to authentic empowerment, transcending superficial understanding, shattering the illusions of the conditioned self.
It's about recognizing deep down the boundless truth of who you are, beyond all the stories, beliefs, fears you've picked up.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now in your everyday life? The sources we looked at, they all remind us. This path is deeply personal and needs active, ongoing engagement.
It's not passive information gathering. It's something to be lived, embodied, integrated, moment by moment.
Right. And as we close this deep dive, I really want to leave you with this question to ponder. If feelings truly are the language of the soul, and your soul is your deepest truth, what untamed truth is your innermost self trying to communicate to you right now, maybe in this very moment? Something you might have been too conditioned, maybe too fearful, or just too plain busy to really hear.
And what might happen? What profound shifts could unfold in your life if you dared, finally, truly, to listen?